I don't know about you, but I feel like stress management is an enormous buzzword these days. Everyone is telling us that if you're stressed out, you can't do your habits. And if you're stressed out, it's going to impact your health. And if you're stressed out, all of these bad consequences are going to happen. And then the advice they give us for stress management is like, oh yeah, like eat an avocado, take a bath, go on a 6-day wellness retreat. Hello, not everybody has those abilities. Not everybody has those privileges. Hi, my name is Dr. Karin Nordin, and I have a PhD focusing on mindset and behavior change. So stress management is something that I'm pretty familiar with from a scientific side, but it's also something that I've watched a lot of our clients go through, and it's something that I am personally experiencing a lot in my own life right now. So this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal videos. It's going to be more of a heart-to-heart style chat. And I'm going to talk about 3 mistakes that I have made in the past that reduced my ability to deal with stress and what I am doing now instead. So we're about to get ultra real, ultra personal, but hopefully it's going to come with some takeaways that you can use inside of your own life. So the first thing I want to talk about is this idea that we need to reduce our stress levels. So everybody and their brother is telling us about how bad stress is and how we need to reduce our stress levels. We need to get rid of that stress. We need to remove stressors from our lives. And at the beginning of the year, the first, I would say 8 weeks or so, I felt like I was walking uphill through sludge the entire time. Everything felt really stressful. My business has grown exponentially in the past 2 years and continues to grow, which is absolutely a blessing, but something that comes with a lot of stress. I have a team of people I'm managing now. I'm responsible for their livelihoods in some sense. And I also have other things going on with my partner. I have a dog who needs a lot of activity. I have habits that I wanted to pick up. And I reached this point where I realized that my stress was not going away. And I'll just be honest that in the next few years, my partner and I do want to think about having kids. And so if we want to have a family someday, I know that my double income, no kids life is going to get more stressful. And so I had this moment with myself where I was like, Karin, if you are struggling to cope with stress right now, what is it going to be like when that stress compounds itself and when more things come into the picture? When BBA continues to grow, when my family starts to grow, when we move in the future, or when we get another dog, or when we, this and that and the other thing. There are so many things that I would not want to opt out of. I don't want to try to reduce stress as a way to reduce my life. If I got rid of my business, that would significantly reduce my quality of life. If I got rid of this boy, he's sleeping over here, who does cause a lot of stress because he's a 95-pound black lab and he needs a lot of activity, he makes a lot of demands. If I got rid of him, that would take away enormous, I would never even think of that. And so I had this moment where I was like, I do not want to reduce my stressors. I need to increase my ability to cope with those stressors. And so that is sort of lesson number 1 that I want to talk to you today about stress is where do you need to focus less on stress reduction and more on increasing your ability to cope and be resilient to the stress that exists in your life and is going to continue to exist. And so that brings me to another mistake that I've made less so recently, but frequently in the past. And this is a mistake so many people that I work with, I see them make. And that is that we are constantly taught to add demands to our life without adding support. So everybody's telling you to adopt another habit. Everybody's telling you to pick up that extra shift at work. Everybody's telling you to do more, add more to your plate. Exercise, eat healthy, go to the gym, walk outside, get early exposure to daylight. All of these self-development habits, we're told adopt. But that is like putting weight on a barbell over and over again without providing additional support in the form of strength. And so this is something that I've realized in my own life, where I had this moment at the beginning of the year where I'm adding all of these things. Like, I was going to run a half marathon. I was going to build my business in specific ways. I had a very specific habit stack that I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be tidying. I wanted to be going for a walk every day. I wanted to be interacting on social media at a certain time. I was adding and adding and adding and adding to my self-development plate. And at the same time, I was trying to reduce the amount of money I was spending. So I was cutting that coffee that brought me joy, and I was getting rid of my one-on-one nutrition coach, and I was reducing the amount of money that I spent on things like, we have a housekeeper that comes in once a month. So I was like potentially cutting that. And all of a sudden, I sort of looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, okay, I'm asking myself to do more and taking away the resources and support that I need in order to do it. That makes zero sense. So that is lesson number 2. And something that I have shifted really in the past 25 days is I have reduced the demands on myself. I've really focused down on the things that really, really, really matter. And I have given myself the wiggle room to provide myself more support. So for example, I want to be able to focus at work, and so I got a WeWork membership so that I can be outside of the house and I have those concrete work-life boundaries. Now, I want to say that not everybody is going to be in a position where they can financially add support. But financial support isn't the only support that exists. Maybe that means reaching out to an organization in your community and seeing if they can help you out a little bit with food or resources or things like that. Maybe that means reaching out to your friends and family and saying, hey, we're going through a really hard time. Would you be able to send over a frozen meal? Or would you be able to watch the kids a little bit more? Or would you be able to help me clean on a certain day? Support doesn't have to be financial. It can be relationship-based. It can be in terms of technology automations. If you want to learn more about all of those things, I would highly suggest joining Change Academy, because Change Academy is a form of support that is specifically created for you on your change journey. Social support is a huge thing. We have an immense amount of social support inside of Change Academy. That's lesson number 2. If you're going to add a habit, what are you going to add to help support yourself? If you're going to add a demand, where is the support coming from that you need to meet that demand? And the third lesson that I've learned recently, which I will fully call myself out on, is I had these habits, my core 4 habits, which if you don't know that phrase, I have a free resource called the Future Self Map mini course, and it helps you identify exactly who you want to be and choose the habits that are actually going to get you there. So it's a protocol that I follow. It's a protocol that lots of people inside Change Academy follow. We have a whole space dedicated to that. And it's a protocol that all of our clients follow very successfully to change their lives and behavior. And I was viewing my core 4 habits as annoying boxes I had to check. So I was trying to read a little bit more at night, and I was like, I'm going to read 10 pages every day. I would sit down and be like, ugh, I have to read those 10 pages, and I would fly through them as quickly as possible. I told myself that I wanted to do 5 minutes of tidying every day. And so I would get up, set a timer, literally try to not even think about it and just clean as fast as possible until the timer went off. And there's actually research that supports the idea that when we view habits like that as annoying pieces of our day, instead of things that bring us joy and fulfillment and connection to our values, they add stress to our lives. But when we do view them as enjoyable, when we're mindful, when we connect those behaviors to our values and think about that, then they actually help reduce the symptoms of stress that we are experiencing. So I had to call myself out, and I was like, listen, Karin, I said, listen, self, you are either going to embrace and learn to love and be mindful of these habits, or don't do them. If you don't want to do them, don't freaking do them. And the answer was that I wanted to do those things. I wanted to go on a walk with my dog. I wanted to tidy my kitchen. And by simply shifting over the last 20 days or so to really focusing on my enjoyment of those tasks, to thinking about how they sort of embody my connection to my future self, to really, really diving into the meaning behind them, that focus has completely shifted my relationship with those habits. So that's takeaway number 3 is I want you to check yourself and ask yourself, like, if I'm asking myself to do specific tasks or do specific habits, if there are parts of my everyday life that I'm working on, am I viewing them as annoying things that have to be done in order to check a box? Or am I actually allowing myself to embrace and become the person that they represent? Like I said, let me know if you loved this style video. If you did, make sure that you look into joining Change Academy. It's low cost, it's $35 a month, which is nuts for the amount of information and community and stuff that you're getting every single month. And I am shifting a lot more of my sort of behind the scenes content like this to being inside of Change Academy. So members there are always getting the behind the scenes scoop. They're always getting the real techniques and tips that I'm using. And on top of that, they're getting the scientific education in the workshops that obviously we are doing every month. And by the way, if this chat about stress resonated with you, make sure you check out the other couple of videos. I've been focusing a lot on stress this month because that's what our topic was inside of Change Academy. But if you don't want to join Change Academy, I highly suggest you do. But if you don't, you can check out the other 3 videos that I've got, or maybe there's 2. I think there's 2. You can check out the other 2 videos that I've got, which are all about concrete tips for increasing your ability to cope with stress.